Good morning, everybody. How are you all today? I hope you're well. I've got a bit of an indoors day going on today, so amongst all the other bits and bobs I'm going to be getting up to today, lots of computer accounts, boring kind of stuff. I'm going to do a bit of cooking, yay! And I'm going to knock up one of my favourite brunches, can't wait, with a bit of a twist and a tweak and a difference. So, I can't stand breakfast. I know it's the most important meal of the day, but when I get up in the morning, I just can't face eating. I never have been able to do. I think it's all to do with that. I just don't like getting up in the morning. I mean, I like getting up in terms of, yay, what's the day got in store? But just drag me kicking and screaming from under my duvet. Anyway, so for breakfast, I basically do my smoothies. So berries, oats, seeds, some green stuff, whatever I've got to hand, maybe some carrot juice. Whiz it all up and then I can sort of sip on it over 15-20 minutes or so. But then by about 10 o'clock I'm ready for a snack of some description, and what I'm going to do today is the sort of thing that I like to do if I'm going to go off to the garden for a long day or a full day. I like to have a little bit of this beforehand because it fills me up and it warms me up and it makes me feel ready for the day. I'm making bubble and squeak, yay! So for those of you who aren't familiar, it's a bit of a classic Brit dish, and normally it's made with leftovers. So if you think, say, from your Sunday lunch you'd have some potatoes and cabbage left over, then for Monday morning you'd fry up your bubble and squeak and get it down yet, and it's gorgeous. I don't tend to do a Sunday roast for obvious reasons, so I just make this up fresh. No harm in that, is there? Now, I haven't been able to get to the garden for the last couple of days. The weather has been atrocious, really slippy underfoot. So instead of making this with green cabbage like I've got on the allotment, or with my kale, which I also make it with, I'm actually going to do it with some red cabbage that I froze way back in, can't remember now, June, July. Yeah, there were just some little odd plants a friend gave me, and I had half of them out fresh, and then I needed the space, so the rest came out and I froze them. I've never frozen cabbage before, I just normally have it fresh, so cooking from frozen is a bit of a new one on me. I'm just going to give it slightly longer in the steamer. Anyway, let's have a look at the ingredients, because I'm also hopefully going to use my flint corn today. Yay! Normally, bubble and squeak is quite simply potato and cabbage. However, this is my bubble and tweak. There's a little bit of a tweak to it. I'm using some of the celeriac as well. So it's kind of about equal amounts of celeriac, potato and cabbage. So I've just grabbed this from the freezer. I hope this is going to work from frozen. I've no idea, but we'll give it a go. Like I say, normally for the cabbage part, I would be either using my Savoy cabbage or kale, or even leaves from the broccoli or purple sprouting broccoli. But in their absence, we'll give the red cabbage a go. I think it might be yummy. Now, this will shock a lot of you. I'm going to be using some salt today. When have you ever seen me use salt? The thing is, with potato, it's pretty much one of the only veg that I do like a bit of salt with. So when all this is mashed up and made into little patties, it will then be coated in flour. Normally I would use wholemeal flour, but today I'm going to use the gorgeous sparkling glass gem flint corn. So I'm going to mill a bit of the corn to give myself some flour, and I will also chuck in a little bit of the rock salt, mill that down a little bit as well to coat them with. Right, let's get chopping and get this show on the road, because I'm hungry. Just waiting for the water to come to the boil, it's nearly there. It's a kind of a stacking operation, or an adding to, if you like, recipe. First of all, the celeriac is going to go in. So I've chunked them into sort of like inch-sized cubes, same with the potato. Oh, the smell is gorgeous. It's really, it's definitely full of that gorgeous celery smell. It's almost like, it's hard to describe, it's kind of tangy and almost citrusy. Oh, it's so yummy. One thing, if you're using celeriac raw for a salad when you're preparing it, right, water's come to a boil, I'm just going to pop the celeriac in. Quick look at the clock, because that's going to have 12 minutes before I add the potato. Yeah, so if you're doing celeriac and you're going to have it raw, say if you're grating it for a salad, when you're preparing it, they are such gnarly, ugly vegetables to look at when they're just out of the ground. The sort of the top 2/3 or so, 3/4, it's got that kind of really rough skin, almost like an elephant's backside. You peel that off, and then underneath where all the roots have been, there's just this kind of massive gnarly mess. So just as a little heads up, when you're peeling them, getting it, I've never eaten a celeriac skin. Actually, I'm digressing so much already today. The potatoes I've chopped up with their skins on. I love the skins, loads of nutrition, bit more texture when I come to mash it all. But with the celeriac, I've never even eaten the skin. It just looks too gnarly and hideous. So once you have peeled it, skinned it, whatever you want to call it, you are going to be left with a considerably reduced in size celeriac. So if you're trying to imagine, say for this recipe, an equal amount of celeriac and potato, your celeriac that you start with is going to be quite a bit bigger than the spud to allow for you to get all that gnarly stuff off. Yeah, what I was going to say about if you're having it raw, say for a salad, the thing with celeriac, as soon as you start to peel it, it does go brown. So if you have a bowl of water with some lemon juice in it just to the side, so as you're peeling and chopping, you can chuck it in there. That lemon helps it to stop oxidizing and turning brown. I mean, you're losing nutrition with it going brown, but it's not very pretty to look at, is it, if you're eating it raw? Never mind that. Mine's gone on the boil, so it's going to boil for 12 minutes. Then I'm going to add the spuds and they'll carry on together for a further 15 minutes. So in other words, the celeriac is going to get about 27 minutes of a boil. They do take longer than spuds. Right. Back in 10 minutes. Once the celeriac have had their 12 minutes, it's time to add the spuds in. So in they go. Trying not to splash myself. Spuds are in. Quickly pop the lid back on. So that's all going to now be in there together for a further 15 minutes. But before that 15 minutes is up, I will add my cabbage. So it's just here in the steamer. You can't even see that it's a steamer, can you? There are holes in the bottom of that, I assure you. So I'll stick that pan on the top of that one. As I said, I don't normally cook cabbage from frozen. So normally if I was steaming cabbage, I'd do it for about 4 or 5 minutes tops. But because this is frozen, I'm going to give it, maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes. If it's done before 10 minutes, I'll just whip this pan off the top. Right, set the clock again. Once they've had their 27 minutes, strain off the water, pop your potatoes and celeriac back in the pan, and I've just had them over a low heat for, hang on a second, bang bang, a couple of minutes just to get rid of any excess moisture. Whilst that was doing, the cabbage I actually took off after 5 minutes because it was perfectly done. Don't want soggy cabbage. Like I say, the timing was a bit, I wasn't quite sure, having not done them from frozen before. And also, whilst it was all boiling, I've milled down the flint corn. So I did it with salt at the same time. And this was done for 20 seconds, and 20 seconds seems to be about a good amount of time to get a much finer finish. That's what we're going to dunk our mash in a minute. Right, time to get mashing. When you're normally mashing your spuds, you probably add milk. I'm not adding any milk to this because I actually don't want it too wet, but I have added just a little bit of olive oil spread, one of those, I don't really tend to use butter, but the olive spread seems to work okay. So get in there, give it a good old mashy smash. Think of politicians' heads or something. Go on, get in there. I was about to mention a politician whose head I'd like to smash, but oh, let's not do politics, Vivi. That'll do me. Now we're going to grab the cabbage. She's on the other side of the kitchen. Pop your cabbage in. It's always a shame that red cabbage does lose some of its colour when you cook it, isn't it? I tend to only eat red cabbage raw, but like I say, because I couldn't actually get down to the garden in the last couple of days to fetch out some green cabbage or kale for this, just give it a go. Mix it all in together, yum scrum diddly. Now, it's a bit scorchio hot at the moment, so I'm going to leave it for a couple of minutes just to cool a little bit, because I actually want to get it out with my hands now to make little patties, so I'm just going to leave it to cool for a moment. Now the fun starts! So get yourself a little, a little dollop in your hand, give it a bit of a pat out. Actually, these are really quite wet still, they're much wetter than I would want them. I don't think I needed to add that fat, but there we go. Dollop it in your flour, whether it's corn flour you're using or regular flour. Let me just set that aside a sec. I'm going to do a couple. I'll confess to you all now. I've already just had one. I was so hungry. I thought I just got to get a couple down me before I show all of you. There's something yummy about, oh, they really are too wet, falling apart. But there's something really, really yummy about messy wet food as well, isn't there? Right, let me just clean my hands a second, then we'll go over to the pan. Okay, so a bit of warm oil in your frying pan. Pop your little patties in. Probably going to take, oh, that's really hot. They'll probably take about 2 or 3 minutes each side. What I would normally do is I'd make up all my little patties in one go, so I can get more in the pan in one go. Plus, as soon as these are done, put them on a warm plate, get the next lot in if I was doing loads for friends. This is really yummy as a breakfast slash brunch with, for instance, you could have it with baked beans. I don't have any baked beans at the moment, so I'm just having them on their own. If you eat eggs, you can have it with eggs. I don't eat eggs, so I won't bother. But have them on their own, have them with something, do whatever you like. Oh, I've done that a bit too quickly, I'm so impatient. And I've got to say, having just tried one for myself a minute ago, the flint corn works great as a little coating for them. It's got more of a crunch than regular flour. Really, really yummy. Right, I'm going to finish cooking these, plate them up, and then we can have a scoff together. As I was saying, I've never actually made these with red cabbage before, and I have to say they don't look quite as appetising. There's something about red cabbage, unless it's that kind of braised honey caramelly, that looks slightly less appetising than green cabbage. But let me give you a quick look. Whether they look appetising or not, they're going to get scoffed. Oh, let's tuck in. So as I say, I've already had a little, oops, naughty sneak preview because I was so hungry. I just wanted to get the stock in. And the flint corn, I think it was a comment from Heather. Thank you, Heather. She was talking about using it as in some kind of meat dish, and I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. But then I suddenly thought, oh, try it on my bubble and squeak. Oh, it's so hot. For some reason today the mixture is really, really moist. So they're a bit softer than I would normally like. I'd like them with a bit more crunch. But their flint corn flour, the corn flour as a coating is so lovely. It's really crunchy. More. Sorry guys, it's so hot. I think I took the cabbage off just at the right moment because it's still got a little bit of bite. This is so yummy. I've got another half a pan full left over there. I'm going to make a load more up now and just stuff my face. But like I say, try it with maybe baked beans and eggs as a breakfast. I think on their own they're yummy. Try whatever. But the other thing is, I keep forgetting to mention it even though I put it in right at the beginning, the celeriac. It's really lovely. I find it within this really, really subtle. Somehow the celeriac and the cabbage together, they just work beautifully. It's got way more taste than just plain mash. I love it. Give it a go, see what you think. If you're a bit nervous about the celeriac, what you could do to start with is just do mash. So like we did with equal amounts of celeriac and potato, celeriac needs longer to boil, mash them together, serve it as a mash, see what you think. If it seems a bit overpowering, maybe think in terms of 1/3 celeriac, 2/3 potato for your mash. I've got a bit of flint corn there. I love it. I highly recommend it. I've grown it for the first time last year. I keep thinking it's this year still. I'm so chuffed. I'm going to grow it again this year, but this year I'm going to give it way more muck, so hopefully they get bigger because I'm having to use 2 or 3 at a time, which is ridiculous. But it's a gorgeous veg. Give it a go. If you've got flint corn too, mill some and use it as your coating. Yay! Right, I'm going to say cheerio for now because I want to eat loads more. I'll see you all again really soon. But in the meantime, happy dreaming of your gardens this year, happy experimenting in the kitchen. If you've not grown celeriac and you're wondering about it because we're getting really close to seed sowing time, go out and buy one. Have a go with a few little recipes, see if you like it. If you like it, get some seeds and get sowing. In the meantime, take care everyone.